In 2 Samuel chapter 8 in the King James Version. And after this it came to pass that David smote the Philistines and subdued them. And David took Meth-Gemah out of the hand of the Philistines, and he smote Moab, and measured them with a line, casting them down to the ground. Excuse me. Even with 2 lines measured, he put to death, and with 1 full line to keep alive. And so the Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. David smote also Hadadezer, the son of Rehob, king of Zobah, as he went to recover his border at the river Euphrates. And David took from him 1,000 chariots, and 700 horsemen, and 20,000 footmen. And David houghed all the chariots' horses, but reserved of them for 100 chariots. And when the Syrians of Damascus came to succor Hadadezer, king of Zobah, David slew of the Syrians 22,000 men. Then David put garrisons in Syria of Damascus, and the Syrians became servants to David, and brought gifts. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. And David took the shields of gold that were on the servants of Hadadezer, and brought them to Jerusalem. And from Betah, and from Berothai, cities of Hadadezer, King David took exceeding much brass. When Tal, king of Hamath, heard that David had smitten all the host of Hadadezer, then Tal, sent Joram his son unto King David to salute him, and to bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer, and smitten him. For Hadadezer had wars with Tai, and Joram brought with him vessels of silver and vessels of gold and vessels of brass. If you know the correct pronunciation, I believe it's Tau, but I'm not quite certain. But if you know the correct, say it with us, and if you know how to put it in the comments, then I thank you. Which also King David did dedicate unto the Lord with the silver and gold that he had dedicated of all nations which he subdued, of Syria, and of Moab, and of the children of Ammon, and of the Philistines, and of Amalek, and of the spoil of Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. And David gat him a name when he returned from smiting of the Syrians in the valley of Salt, being 18,000 men. And he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom put he garrisons, and all they of Edom became David's servants. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. And David reigned over all Israel, and David executed judgment and justice unto all his people. And Job, the son of Zeruiah, was over the host, and Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, was recorder, and Zadok, the son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, the son of Abiathar, were the priests. And Sariah was the scribe, or Sariah was the scribe, and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over both the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief rulers. Okay. There was a lot here. In particular, listen to this, though. Once again, because it says it a couple of times in here. Verse 6, Then David put garrisons in Syria of Damascus, and the Syrians became servants to David and brought gifts. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. Okay, 1. Verse 14, And he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom put he garrisons, and all they of Edom became David's servants. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. I was thinking about this the other day, a lot recently. Because again, especially when you get into the Word and then you get into the Holy Spirit, whether it's through Bible study or with a group of people, the revelations and the Holy Spirit just speaks, the Lord just speaks to us. And when we are saved, right? Whether you're saved or not, the Lord is always there. The Lord even sees us in our darkest days. And not just our darkest days as in the days where terrible things are happening to us, but our own darkness, our sin. When we go there, the Lord sees that. Like the Lord sees us. The Lord's there watching us do those things, make those decisions. The Lord can't, yes, correct, the Lord cannot be around sin, but it doesn't mean that he is not king or ruler over it. He can see it. So one thing is to understand is that one way to take this is when people become saved, still understand that we are still sinners. No, there's not a level where now we are above and beyond other people. The difference is you have been now saved by grace, God's grace. There is not one thing not one of us can do in our mind righteously or good that can buy us or move us into heaven. There's only one thing, and that was his son dying on the cross for us. And understanding that we too, just like the Lord telling the people of Israel to be good, to be representations of him, even to the stranger, because you once were a stranger in Israel, in Egypt. Because yes, you too were once this way. And that bringing past to present, that still remains true to this day. Yes, the difference is we are going to be in eternity with the Lord, but everyone has that opportunity. And we need to be able to be utilized through the Lord by being reflections of him at all times. And when we're not, humbly go before the Lord and ask for forgiveness and understand it. And if the Holy Spirit leads you to, utilize it. Say, you know what? I fell out. Yes, I love the Lord, but I have fallen off the wagon too. I have done those things too, or I have done this thing. You may have done, you think this is a lie. I did this over here. And I had to spend time and understand, because even when I was doing that, the Lord was with me. And I was refusing to listen to him because I wanted to do what I wanted to do. Even so much as that, understanding, like, it is going to be difficult. It is already difficult. And we are all in this. We are all part of the kingdom of the Lord. And yes, a person does have a choice. They can say, no, I don't believe. But we can be reflections of the Lord's love continually and still love our neighbor as ourselves. Yes, we'll talk about other things because there's other things that people will say, well, what about boundaries? And what about, the point of the matter is those boundaries the Lord puts in place for, the Lord works. Allow him to work. Before we go on to the next chapter, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel? What does it make you think?